Well, let's stop there for a second and remind ourselves of some important ways to memorize this stuff. So, glycolysis happens where? In the cytoplasm of a cell, right? Not the mitochondria. In the cytoplasm of the cell that you find the mitochondria in. Is glycolysis aerobic or anaerobic? It's anaerobic.
What slide is that? Oh, I see.
Number 26.
Okay.
Glycolysis makes a total of 4 ATP, but you only get to use 2 of the ATP. So it's a net 2 ATP. Citric acid cycles, they happen in the cytoplasm of the cell or within the mitochondria cytoplasm. It's within the mitochondria, right? We can see that from the earlier slide, because now it's actually in the mitochondria. How many ATP do we generate from the citric acid cycle? 2. What is it using? It's using those 2 pyruvate molecules to create, or to, not to create, but to get electrons. And then those electrons will go to the electron transport, which is on the inner membrane of the mitochondria. Right? So this is on the inner membrane. This is in the cytoplasm of the mitochondria. So these two both happen, quote, within the mitochondria themselves.
Like
The
in
inner-
the matrix.
In the matrix, for the electron transport, yes.
In the inner membrane?
It's actually not. It's actually happening right in here, between the outer and the inner.
For the electron transport.
No, for the citric acid cycle. The electron transport chain happens on the inner membrane. So let's
Okay.
go back and show you on this. All right, so here they're trying to show you how this is not on the membrane, but it's actually between these two. So it's the cytoplasm of the mitochondria, which would be right along in here and down in this space.
So that black line that has the E, the electron?
This, yeah, is going to go to the inner membrane. And on the inner membrane,
No,
we
the
do
black line right there where the blue E is.
the
The
blue
little,
E.
the little swiggle.
Right,
Yeah.
that's on the inner membrane.
Okay.
That's on the inner membrane. But this happens in here where my finger is, between the inner membrane and the outer membrane, in that little space.
Okay.
That's the cytoplasm of the mitochondria.
So what I'm confused about, the NADH, where is that located? Is it like right next to
It's coming from the citric acid cycle.
and it moves to the,
And it moves to literally to the inner membrane of the mitochondria. We'll kind of let you see it in this way. So in the last minute I've got, I want to give you a little bit of a heads up in case you're trying to get ahead of yourselves. Number one, remember what you only are responsible for knowing in terms of glycolysis, right? Makes 4, usable 2 ATP, 1 glucose into 2 pyruvates, anaerobic. Do not memorize this, all right? You can if you want. We're not going to have you memorize it, all right? Also, don't memorize this. These are just examples, let you see what happens during the citric acid cycle, if you see what happens during the electron transport chain, but do not commit them to memory. I will tell you what you need to know from this on Wednesday, but do not memorize this or that. But you can see our ATP up here. So this one crank is 1 pyruvate. If I have 2 pyruvates, I do it once, make an ATP, do it twice, and there's my 2 ATP
Yeah.
from this process. And you're looking at your NADHs, right? Coming from the citric acid cycle, getting the electrons that I can take to the inner membrane to be used. And don't memorize this one either. This is more of a summary we're going to look at for next Wednesday. All right, so we'll see you guys